The debate. Who is responsible for biohazard cleanup, renter or owner? The question of who is responsible for biohazard cleanup is a contentious one, with no simple answer. On the one hand, it could be argued that a renter should be held accountable for any messes that occur in their rental property, spurring them to practice caution and diligence when it comes to using the space. Conversely, it could be argued that the owner of the property should bear the responsibility for any messes that occur, given the fact that they are the ones profiting from the rental agreement. Let us explore both options further. From the perspective of the renter, being held accountable for any biohazardous messes that occur on their rental property makes sense. After all, they are the ones that are occupying the space and, as such, should be held to a certain standard of responsibility. Cleaning up any biohazards that occur should be seen as an expected part of the rental agreement, something that any conscientious renter would be willing to do in order to ensure the safety of the property they are occupying. On the other hand, it could be argued that the responsibility for any biohazardous messes should lie with the owner of the rental property. After all, it is the owner that is profiting from the rental agreement and, as such, has a vested interest in the upkeep of the property. As such, they should be held accountable for any messes that occur, regardless of who caused them. It is also worth noting that, in some cases, biohazard cleanup can be expensive and time-consuming, and so it might be unfair to expect a renter to take on this burden without some kind of compensation. The legal implications of biohazard cleanup. When it comes to the legal implications of biohazard cleanup, the answer is not always clear-cut. In some cases, a rental agreement may explicitly state who is responsible for any biohazardous messes that occur. If this is the case, then the terms of the agreement should be followed. However, if the rental agreement is silent on the matter, then it may be up to a court to decide who is responsible for any biohazardous messes that occur. There are also a few state and federal laws that may come into play when determining who is responsible for biohazard cleanup. For example, some states have laws that require landlords to provide a safe living environment for their tenants, which may include being held accountable for any hazardous messes that occur. Additionally, the federal government has several regulations in place that may affect the responsibility of biohazard cleanup, such as those that pertain to the disposal of hazardous materials. It is important to be aware of any relevant laws when determining who is responsible for biohazard cleanup. The final verdict. Ultimately, the question of who is responsible for biohazard cleanup, renter or owner, is one that can only be answered on a case-by-case basis. Depending on the circumstances, either party could be held accountable, or the responsibility could be shared. It is important to read through any rental agreement carefully and to be aware of any relevant state and federal laws in order to make sure that everyone is held to the same standard of responsibility.